What's going on out there, soul mapping family? Thanks so much for tuning in to your astro weather report for August 8th, 2019. I'm Thomas, and the astro weather report is where I synthesize aspects of astrology and the 64 hologenetic archetypes to give you a better idea of some of the energies that will be at play today, from the genetic all the way on up to the cosmic levels. Well, definitely in the middle of my wild riding adventure here throughout this Lionsgate portal and all this activating energy, making this beautiful trip down the coast of California, going through all these very divine synchronistic connections in the middle of a lot of Kundalini raising and just guiding us moment by moment into these right positions. It's been so amazing, so incredible, and such a mind-blowing and humbling experience all at the same time. But yeah, so today definitely some powerful cards in the deck when it comes to these different alignments that are going on. You know, we're getting closer and closer to this Venus-Sun conjunction that we're coming into, and today that's that's all going to be really making this trine over to Jupiter. Venus coming into the peak of this trine with Jupiter, and still getting that influence, of course, from the Sun over there. So definitely some big things can come in when it comes to the timing of all this. You know, the Venus is still in the 33.6, which is all about really looking at objectively at where these revelations of how we can put these pieces together when it comes to really sinking into greater value in ourselves and new connections that are coming into play, new relationships, but also certain things that are really going to provide the abundance that we want, that are going to lead us on this kind of like divine, mystic, spiritual journey that we all each individually have in our life in one way or another. We want to be really being objective as to where all the pieces are going to fit into play, being sensitive to other people's needs, but also realizing that all of this is a very interesting and unique timing as well. You know, Jupiter is stationary right now, so it's going direct this weekend, but this could feel like this interesting point between, especially between now and this weekend, of this just sort of timelessness almost that sets in, right? Because I feel like we're going to get a lot more clarity when it comes into this weekend with Jupiter going direct, and with Uranus going retrograde, Venus conjuncting the Sun, and Mercury coming out of Cancer into Leo. And this could feel like this sort of span of timelessness where we're like waiting as all of the cards or chips are suspended, and we're kind of waiting for the clarity on where they're all going to fall. But a lot of these really deep and amazing connections still have to come into play, and it's all building up, and we can see so much stuff right now. We can see where everything may kind of fit in, but there's so much energy coming in, and this is such an important and potent window to really pay attention to what's deeply connected with our heart, where we want to go, and to navigate all of this, and to really realize that our decisions right now are making so much, they're so potent, right? The field that we have going on is so fertile to make so many different dreams and visions and realities come true, and we have lots of interesting relationship pieces that are coming into the puzzle to help ensure all that can happen. And yeah, it's just such a beautiful time, and it's very, very good to be mindful of just moment to moment how to navigate each and every individual energy, because there's so many pieces, and maybe they all might not fit in, or maybe this is even such a powerful big vision, or so many things are coming into play that we're not quite sure of the timelines, right? This sort of time is suspended too, so we can see so many things, but then we're also having to be objective and retract into like, okay, but what is important right at the moment? What do we have the ability to manifest now? And then what works into a much larger vision that may take many years? And there can be tension in that too, right? Because these aspects that we have, these powerful benefic aspects, are also making these kind of like awkward tense aspects over to Saturn, which is like, you know, greed can come into play. This could be an issue that comes up, or these kind of like old world structures where we're like trying to finally balance with, like, you know, realizing that we need some of these pieces to hold the containers and hold the visions of all these things that we want to manifest, but certain aspects of them can feel uncomfortable and like we just don't really want any part of them. So learning how to balance all that The moon is going to be making its way through the end of Scorpio, is going to be coming into Sagittarius at the end of the day. Before it does, it's going to make a beautiful trine over to Mercury in near the end of Cancer, still in the 27th degree. So this is good because Mercury, it will be on the 56 when it comes into this trine with the moon on the 14. And this is incredible because what this is doing is bringing in some sort of unexpected resources or messages about resources that are really going to bring a lot of enrichment into our life. And I feel like this sort of message or communication that it's going to come in is going to allow us to really fuel a lot of this new story that's coming into play. It's like maybe we've been unsure about how it's all going to work out and how we're going to be able to get that comfort and security that we need and still manifest these certain pieces of the puzzle. And I feel like this is going to be a very divine message or connection or communication that's going to come in to give us a little bit more clarity now that Mercury is really making its way out of shadow in these things. We're starting to get more clear on maybe where that abundance and resources is going to come from to allow us to step into this new story and journey. We also have when the moon is coming into Sagittarius, it's going to be conjuncting Ceres as well. So this Ceres is going to be this conjunction is going to be also on the 14. So this could be like an interesting sort of like whatever the resources are that are coming in, there could be some sort of interesting sacrifice in a way involved. Ceres often involves where there's a big harvest and then there's a big reap, but there also may be some sort of interesting sort of sacrifice that we have to make at one point or another to really get into and to really generate those resources. But with these codes right now, with the way things are, I feel like the sacrifice it's going to be worth it. It's going to be something that's like maybe it will require us doing something that it's like it could feel like a tough call, but like we do often have to make very big sacrifices when it comes to stepping into these larger visions. And it's like sometimes we have to compromise on certain things to really go to the next step. And that's of course going to require tapping into your inner authority to really feel like if that's something that feels in alignment for you. But definitely a beneficial trying to allow for resources for beautiful, like helping in these creative visions, helping rewrite these stories, helping to create a much more enriching life for ourselves. And yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of this is about. Now, it's interesting to keep in mind too that this divine connection that's coming in when Venus is conjuncting the Sun is going to be making a quincunx over to Neptune. So that's important to take into consideration because there can be some transmutation of still some like subconscious masks, or maybe like we need to be mindful of if we're really paying attention to our inner truth and to certain aspects of what is good for us and what isn't good for us. We're needing to navigate these new connections with a sort of interesting grace that comes about. There can be kind of hidden things going on still that need to come to the light with this beautiful divine connection. But I feel like with how potent this energy is right now too, this is also saying that this is such like a divine connection in relationships and projects and businesses and interpersonal relationships, that it's sort of like a divine synchronistic and spiritual transmutation, of course. Or maybe the masks that are going on are something that's actually going to allow for something more beautiful and compassionate and graceful to manifest over the long term. It's part of this kind of like overarching grand ceremony that's taking place. It's really entering into a peak of setting the stage of how that's all going to take place. Lastly, we are going to be having interesting aspect, helpful, supportive aspect going on to Chiron as the moon gets into Sagittarius. It's going to be trining over to Chiron. So that's really going to bring us something that's going to help us see into the future very far, really see how this sort of more grand orchestration is going on with a lot of the healing that we've been processing and going through. We're trying to step into this new identity, and we can start to see where a lot of this is going to go, and we can feel really emotionally connected to this adventure and where it's all going to lead us. And then of course leading into the most powerful energies for this weekend and really getting a lot more clarity into how this is all going to happen and really ground in. So lastly, I'm going to be tapping into the cards to see what's the overarching energy that we can expect for today and what can we tune into to help us navigate some of these very potent energies. Lastly, I'd like to say, definitely, if you want to get into a very deep embodiment and integration, learn all about these systems, tapping into your own inner child, immersing into multiple esoteric languages, and high level like initiation, which is just really learning to tap into that natural matrix, that inner authority, and really absorb and embody so many of these different synchronistic esoteric languages on a very magical level, go to soulmapping.life/unveiling. We have a major 17-week course that we're debuting right now, and you can pre-register that. We'd love for you to be part of the family and enter into this very synchronistic, mystical ceremony that we are creating coming up here in the next couple months. And definitely synchronistic right now, gate 33, retreat, privacy. This is where Venus is at right now, and this is saying is, we can have something very powerful being revealed right now. It may be important for us to take some time to ourselves to really review and to be objective about where this is all going, but we want to be mindful of other people's sensitivities, this kind of like interdependent organism that we are all part of. And definitely we can experience some sort of divine cosmic revelations about where where we are in this mythology that is being revealed in our life. This is also saying with Venus being on this code, this is the revelation of secrets. So there can be some interesting secrets coming out about our value, these connections that we have, this sort of divine sort of connection that we have going on between the sun and Venus that's starting, something about a potent spiritual creative energy, and something really beautiful is being revealed in these sorts of mirrors and connections that we have going on right now. So it's important to pay attention to that and just really be a witness to everything that's going on, and being able to see beyond to something greater that's really being communicated and also created at this time. So hope this has been helpful for you. As always, tap into your innermost authority, see if it feels right for you, and thanks for tuning in to the Astral Weather Report.